museum's flagship exhibit, the magnificent 25-meter-long skeleton of a blue whale. My name is Simon Peacock. I have the privilege of serving as the Dean of Science here at UBC. And on behalf of the University of British Columbia, the Faculty of Science, I would like to thank all of you, the public, members of the UBC community, and friends of the museum for joining us today on this beautiful Saturday morning. Before we usher in the first group of visitors into the exhibit, I'd like you to meet some of the key people who made this museum possible. We'll be hearing from Wayne Madison, our museum director, and from Andrew Trites, who led the team who conceived, collected, cleaned, and assembled the impressive display we're all here to see. There are only 6 blue whale exhibits in North America, and we're fortunate to have 2 of those in Canada, thanks to the foresight of our colleagues at the Canadian Museum of Nature in Ottawa. They are opening or reopening their water gallery this weekend with their own blue whale exhibit, and we have a live video linked to Ottawa in our atrium. They have been a great source of support to the Beaty Museum, the Blue Whale team, and we'll get a chance to hear from Dr. Kamal Kidas, Chief Collection Manager of the museum's limited collection. The Beaty Museum is part of UBC's new Beaty Biodiversity Center, which not only will house the university's collection of more than 2 million natural history specimens, that is the plants, the insects, the fish, shells, birds, mammals, fossils, but it also brings together some of the world's top biodiversity researchers, educators and their teams, all together here under one roof. That team includes one of the latest members of the Royal Society who was elected to fellowship just yesterday. So we now have 2 members of the Royal Society, 2 fellows, I should say, of the Royal Society in our Biodiversity Research Center. The museum and the facilities that you see around you are a much-needed replacement for what used to sit on this ground, which used to be huts left over from World War II that housed our biodiversity group. Those huts are now gone and replaced with this magnificent structure. I'm also pleased to say that across the way there, that's one of the last remaining huts, and it too is on its way out. And so we're moving into the 21st century here at UBC. In the case of our museum specimens, some of our specimens prior to the building of the museum were actually housed in shoeboxes, tucked away in nooks and crannies in the biosciences complex. So we've come a long way. We believe this combination of research, teaching, and outreach is unique in Canada, and we think exemplifies UBC's mission to engage, to inspire, to illuminate, and to discover. And really, British Columbia is the ideal place for the Beaty Biodiversity Center and Museum. British Columbia is one of North America's treasure troves of natural biodiversity. Our province is home to Canada's richest diversity of vascular plants, mosses, mammals, butterflies, and breeding birds. BC is also home to the largest number of species of reptiles, of tiger beetles and amphibians found in any single province or territory. We also know that British Columbia, because of its varying climate and ecosystems, is home to a high number of geographically distinct subspecies. In other words, genetic diversity. That diversity of species, of ecosystems, and our genetic makeup set British Columbia apart, and our understanding of those systems and how they interrelate is key to our ability to conserve them. It's that understanding and that communal appreciation of our natural heritage that this museum will help steward and build. It's my hope that this museum's outreach and educational programs will inspire and excite the public and school children around biodiversity and conservation. And it's my hope that parents will bring their children here, as I have brought my children here this morning, and that those children will be inspired to study science. I'm still hopeful about my kids. Ideally at UBC, I'm a little less hopeful, but I don't think they want to come here because I'm here. And that some of these students will be compelled to conduct research right here. This new exhibit, the largest of its kind in the world, is a wonderful gateway into the world of science and discovery. Ultimately, this museum and research center are public enterprises, and as such have benefited not only from government support, but also tremendous support from the Friends of the University, Friends of the Faculty of Science. Major contributions from the federal and provincial government support the world-class research and teaching in biodiversity and sustainability that is going on in these buildings. And today we'd particularly like to thank UBC alumni, Voss and Tricia Beaty, the Javed Morafagian Foundation, Mr. Alan Yap, and a host of corporate in-kind donors for their generous support of the museum and of the Blue Whale Project. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Wayne Madison, who was here earlier. Here's Wayne. Wayne holds a Canada Research Chair in Biodiversity. For the kids here, he's one of the world's top experts on jumping spiders. You can ask him all about spiders. And he's the director of our Beaty Biodiversity Museum. Wayne?
Thanks, Simon. I think you get to see in that speech the qualities that one needs to have as a dean. Simon is a geologist, and yet I was quite impressed with how that sounded as a biological speech. Today is a special day, both as International Day for Biological Diversity and as our first public preview of this magnificent blue whale exhibit. The museum is thrilled to have this whale. Of the 2 million specimens in our research collections, this is definitely the centerpiece. It's a giant invitation to you, the public, to come visit UBC when we open it to the public this fall, to learn about biodiversity and to meet those of us who study biodiversity. We will be a museum that is not exactly your typical one. More than 90% of the research collections will be in public space. We want you to meet the researchers, and we realize that as an institution that's embedded in a research and teaching university, we have a duty and the opportunity to share our passion. Many of us, all of us, became researchers because we love biodiversity. In the back of house here, as Simon said, we have one of the best teams by far studying biodiversity in the world, easily among the top 10 institutions in that regard. And so we've got the people that know biodiversity and are passionate about it, and we want to bring them in contact with you. The story of biodiversity involves the drama of ecology, the deep heritage of evolutionary history, and the beauty and strangeness of the many species that populate this planet. The story also comes with a moral about what we humans have done, should do, and can do. But to tell us good story, it's important to have compelling characters. And I can't think of a more compelling character than this 85-foot blue whale specimen. And so, on behalf of the Beaty Biodiversity Museum, I'd like to thank those in British Columbia, in PEI, in Ottawa, across Canada, who have helped bring the whale to us. This includes not only the blue whale team itself, about which I'll speak in a moment, but also the museum team that's helped to coordinate it, as well as the Faculty of Science that so generously supported the effort to get this blue whale. Most especially, I'd like to thank Dr. Andrew Trites, Michael DeRoos, and Michi Ming. Andrew was the mastermind, the visionary, the coordinator of the whole project. Without him, we would not even have known about the whale, much less ever acquired it. He really made it happen. Mike DeRoos and partner Michi Ming brought their many skills to this project, ranging from the scientific, to the engineering, to the artistic, to the culinary. And I mention culinary because probably, as you may know, and you certainly can hear more about today, they had to stew the whale for months to get the grease out. I imagine it's a little bit like trying to cook a turkey that's 85-foot long, and if you've ever tried to cook a turkey and guess exactly when it would be done and get it just right, it isn't it? Every day, we here at the museum will thank Andrew, Mike, and Michi for their heroic efforts to bring you this inspiring specimen. To show your appreciation, I've got a bit of a surprise. We would like to present to Andrew and to Mike and Michi ceremonial keys to the museum. So Mike and Gail.